Broadcasting on Sports Radio America and Spreaker.com, you're listening to the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thank you so much for joining us this week. And Josh and I decided to give the staff and the panelists and even our contestants the week off, as we know Easter is in the air. So from all of us to you, a very happy Easter to you, and we hope you had a great time with your family and friends. So we decided to take a look back at the craziness that has been the first 14 episodes of What's the Score. But before we do that, we want to remind you of a couple things.
We'd like to encourage all of you to go check out our social media pages. You can find us on Facebook at What's the Score and on Twitter and Instagram at WTS Sports Quiz.
If any of you would like to play our games on there, you can email us by emailing us at WTSSportsQuiz@gmail.com or visit our social media pages and click on the pinned post at the top of each page.
If you ever miss a show, you can find it on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app, iTunes, the College Tailgate, the Sports Quotient, and on Stitcher. Just type What's the Score in the search bar and click on the latest episode. Also, if you think this show is worth at least $1, why not donate to our Patreon account? Just search What's the Score and donate today.
One of our first things we want to do on the program today is look back at one of our favorite games here on What's the Score. It's the only game that we play every week. It's called Quotable Context, and we're going to go back to episode 13 and play some clips for you that were probably our favorite quotable context so far. It was Lance Allen from Milwaukee, Wisconsin that played with us, and our panelists were Mitch Fomhoff, Dan Pfeiffer, and Doug Russell.
It's time to get this show on the road with our first contestant game. Joining us on the phone to play Quotable Context is Lance Allen from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show, Lance.
Well, thank you very much. I can now understand you have such a cast of characters. You have people clapping for you, Baxter. No wonder I don't get paid for this thing, because you have all the people adoring you.
Oh, come on now, Lance. Come on. You're too kind. This is why I'm in radio and you're on TV, though, Lance. You have the face and the body for TV.
I just was starting to get excited if we were going to talk pro wrestling when Fight Dog was talking about all the Giants and luchadors and the squared circle. I'm in.
Fantastic. Well, Lance, this week you're going to be playing our game called Quotable Context. Game Master Scheibe will read you 5 quotes from this week's news, and you have to correctly identify the context of each quote. Correctly answer 3 out of 5 questions, and you will win our prize, a What's the Score t-shirt. But if you do get stuck on a question, you are allowed to ask one panelist for help on only one question, though, so make sure you choose wisely. Are you ready to play, sir?
I am ready to play.
All right, here is your first clue.
Where is the Stanley Cup right now?
That was President Obama during a recent press conference taking a shot at what hockey-loving prime minister?
Well, if I took this totally out of context, I would talk about a different country other than it is Canada. You took a swipe at the Canadian Prime Minister.
That is correct, yes. President Obama reminded Canada that his hometown of Chicago currently holds the cup. Prime Minister Trudeau did fire back, though, on Twitter, reminding Obama of all the gold medals Canada has won in the past few Olympics.
Now, it's worth
By the way,
noting...
Baxter, is that what the kids call throwing shade at someone? Am I?
I'm pretty sure. I didn't think the president could throw shade, but he threw it pretty hard on that one.
They're saying that most of the Canadian teams this year also don't have much of a shot at the Cup, so the beat's just going to go on.
I love it. Well, the Blackhawks have won it, 3 times now in the last, 5 or 6 years? Right, Doug, you're the resident. You're the Blackhawks fan in the room.
Absolutely, but they do it with all Canadian players, so there is that.
It's a contradiction. All right,
Prime Minister GQ had a point, actually.
It is true. Here's your next quote, Lance.
It would explain why most baseball teams use costume mascots. When the guy inside dies, nobody knows.
That was Stephen Colbert this week commenting about the controversy that apparently is still swirling around what MLB team's adorable mascot.
Well, it can't possibly be Benji. It can't possibly be the Shaggy DA. It's got to be our own beloved Brewers mascot, Hank the dog.
Yes, that is correct. Who knew that the national media would still make such a big deal about this? Hank, he apparently, as we mentioned last week on the show, they had a whole big press conference. They ran blood tests, medical tests, and it supposedly is the Hank the dog that we all know and love. All right, Lance, here is your next quote.
Teams are making a big mistake not taking Johnny Manziel. He's going to be really good.
That was what current GOP candidate back in 2014 pleading the case that NFL teams must draft Johnny Manziel.
Well, I think it is the king of hyperbole, the one, the only, Donald J. Trump.
Yes, the Donald. That is correct.
He's going to be huge.
I don't know if we should clamp for that, but yes, honestly, forget the wall, forget policy, forget anything that he says. But when a man tells the world that
Can
Johnny
we please
Manziel,
forget what
we can forget just about anything. I mean, obviously he knows what he's talking about, so he's clearly.
Hey, I'm old enough that I'm still bitter that the guy ruined the USFL. It was like a viable option, second option to NFL football, and I don't know. Donald just seemed like he ruined that whole.
He meant well, right?
Going.
He meant well.
He moved it from summer to fall. That was the problem. Johnny Manziel out of the NFL because he has a drinking problem. If Donald Trump is elected president, I think all of America will have a drinking problem.
There it is. Thank you so much. All right, we're perfect so far, Lance. 2 more questions. Let's see if we can go for perfect. Here is your next quote.
Every time it dropped 2 PSI.
That was a boy named Ben Goodell, whose 7th grade science fair project was proving that what NFL scandal was actually wrong?
You have to say it is those cheaters extraordinaire, the Patriots in Deflategate.
Yes, that is correct. Now, this is very interesting. Who knew a 7th grader could get this right, not the NFL? But apparently the Wells report eschewed the ideal gas law for arguably incriminating text with Brady smashing his phone, all that stuff. But it's just ironic, though, that Ben Goodell is not related to Roger Goodell, but they share the last name, so irony is a beautiful thing. All right, Lance.
Ironically, Baxter, I've seen Doug Russell take the air out of the ball, but that's just because he can't get up and down the court, so he just inside the paint. Yeah, and we call that Deflategate, too.
Do you want to defend yourself?
Well,
on that?
no, I mean, when I was in high school, I did win the Hustle Award in basketball. They don't give the Hustle Award to anybody who's good, by the way.
Is that like a participation trophy?
Yeah.
It's like the last guy off the bench.
Some photos have surfaced of Doug Russell, and he has some tremendous lettuce, some tremendous salad on top of his head. You've got to see these photos.
Oh, and fun fact, Lance Allen is one of the only people that has known me long enough to remember some of the lettuce.
Wow.
TMJ on TMJ crime. Wow.
I know. This is fantastic. I love it.
Cold in these streets. Cold on these radio/television
I
streets.
love it. This is the best. There's some serious shade being thrown right now.
Nothing but love.
Oh, that's how you use that term.
Apparently. That's what the kids are doing nowadays. All right, Lance, here's your final quote.
She said yes.
That was what NFL player announcing that he and his girlfriend Sierra are now engaged?
He and her girlfriend Sierra. Well, obviously, you can't go with Kanye and Kim because they're already sending out photos. They're already hitched. You got to go with the one, the only, Russell Wilson.
Yes, that is correct. Nicely done. The Twitter comments are probably the best part of this entire thing, though, because the ring, if anybody's seen Sierra's ring, is probably bigger than Pluto. It's massive. I know Pluto's not a planet anymore, so some folks can take that out of context.
Is a planet.
It's huge. It is absolutely huge.
I believe it's probably more than the total GNP of some countries.
I believe so. It's amazing what winning a Super Bowl, can do for a man's bank account. It's a wonderful thing. That's why I have not won a Super Bowl yet. I want to, ease my wife up to that.
That's why.
Yes, if she loves me, she will get a bigger ring, later on in the relationship. It'll work out
That's
well.
a great way to handle your marriage, by the way.
Exactly. Just don't be a Super Bowl winner.
You got to earn these rings.
Literally, and even in marriage, too. Game Master Scheibe, how did Lance do on our quiz?
Lance got 5 out of 5 correct. He's a winner!
Hey! Nicely done.
Meanwhile, Bax is sleeping on the couch today.
Yeah!
I'm just hoping the next go-around, Baxter, if you have me on again, I can, misquote Doug Russell or twist Dan Pfeiffer's words or maybe describe what the ref was actually thinking when he threw Matt Menzel or something like that.
We'll have to have you on the panel. That would be fantastic, Lance. Well, if you ever have a free Sunday, you're always welcome on the panel, sir.
Holy smokes! I didn't say anything to you.
We're throwing shade, man. We're throwing shade all over the place.
A little bit extra shade before we close it out. All right, Lance, thank you so much. Hey everyone, this is Baxter Colburn, host of What's the Score, the sports news quiz.
And I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
If you enjoy listening to What's the Score, we encourage you to go and listen to us on all the different platforms that we're available on. You can find us on Spreaker.com,
Sports Radio America,
The Sports Quotient,
Stitcher,
and on iTunes as well. Go and download our podcast today and let us know your thoughts. A review never hurt anybody. Hey guys, this is Baxter, the host of What's the Score, the sports news quiz. Want to take a minute to remind all of you to go and check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook at What's the Score, the sports news quiz, on Twitter at WTS Sports Quiz, and on Instagram at WTS Sports Quiz as well. And if you enjoy the whole hashtag game, like some of us like to do, hashtag goals, hashtag believer, hashtag, I don't know, I'm running out of hashtags. Anyway, use the hashtag What's the Score on Twitter and Instagram and check out some of the other exclusive content that we do as well. Connecting all of us one smartphone at a time.
Welcome back to the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thank you for being here with us this weekend. As we mentioned, we've taken the week off for the Easter weekend, so we hope you and your family had a wonderful Easter. The Easter Bunny was hopefully very good to you. I know Game Master Scheibe and I got a couple exciting things in our Easter baskets. But one of the other things that we like to do here on the show, you heard in our first segment, we listened to a quotable context with Lance Allen. A lot of laughs, a lot of good times, and one of the things you don't hear on the show, because the power of audio editing is a beautiful thing, as Game Master Scheibe will attest to, is sometimes we don't exactly get the names of players or even games or even ourselves at times correct. So we put together a little thing here for you of some of the things that didn't make it on the air that we're glad that certainly did not. Michael, sir, question. The New York Mets pitcher, Genry, I really should have learned how to say his name. Does anybody know how to say
Generous Mejia.
Thank you. Can I dub you in for that?
Sure.
New York pitcher. Say it again. Genry Mejia?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Nick, next question's for you. Last week, it was exotic cars. Now, this week, New York Mets...
As soon as I looked.
Dang it. I keep forgetting to ask about the names, guys. I apologize.
Jonas Cespedes.
Jonas Cespedes.
Jonas Cespedes. Okay.
How do you even know that? That was what we were going to ask you.
Exotic cars, I'm guessing.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway, continue. I was like,
are we sure we want to ask him this one?
I mean, just a stab in the dark.
You're not wrong, but anyway, continue. That's fine.
Don, forget the last of the Mohicans. It's now the last of the Montreal Expos. I need to pause for a minute here. I forgot to ask you about this name. How do you say it? Mysore is tourist?
Oh, yeah.
Is tourist?
Hang on, let me see that. Well, I can't see the answers around there.
Well, it's fine for him.
It's not your question, though.
It's not your question, so it's the top question.
Yeah, Mysore. Yep.
Mysore is tourist?
Is tourist.
Is tourist. Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. But
Is a tourist. Mysore is a tourist.
Don't say it because he's not.
Mysore? Yeah, it's cool.
The Mysore, yes. Okay.
Speaking of names that we occasionally get wrong, you should listen to this one. I think you'll enjoy it. Welcome back, all. Thanks for listening to What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
Sharby. It's your name. It's your name. You've lived with it for 25 years.
Oh, man.
23.
What's in that water bottle, man?
This is going to make great banter when we go live. Oh, I'm Josh Sharby. Oh, is that who you are? Oh, man.
Sounds like something you do after a night of drinking. I just Sharbied.
I do a great Swedish chef. Herder from
Sharby.
Please do name 5 like that.
Are we gonna do that again, or are we just still going?
No, we're gonna redo it.
The Game Master Scheibe the Diamond.
Scheibe, it's a bow. The diamond is shot. Stop muting. With. Do it again here. For real this time.
For real.
For real.
Now, who are you?
Josh.
Good. Let's go.
So aside from Josh not being able to say his name because I know he was born with it, which we love him for, but there was a clip that happened to myself as well. Although I did get my name correct, there was something else that was a bit of a slip that thankfully did not make it on the air. You're going to have to take a listen to it. Andrew, we'll start with you, sir. A report came out this week that what San Diego Chargers linebacker might actually have a real girlfriend.
Matt Taiteo.
That is correct. Whether or not she actually is a real person, Teo seems to have found a rather attractive girlfriend, or maybe paid off his cousin or sister to pose with him, and they seem to really like each other regardless. But I'll be honest, he is probably the one player, though, in the NFL that I forget is in the NFL, even though he did have all that sex. Oh. Success.
I think he needs more wine.
Wow. That was,
I hope we got that on video.
Baxter, I know it's my first time, but that was not very subtle.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Oh, the beauty of not live radio, right? Unless...
Yeah, we're just
No,
gonna
we're
not-
going with it.
Yeah, we'll roll with it.
Roll with it.
Now I know why Josh locked the door.
And to think we're thinking about live shows.
I know. People on the outside are like, they're doing what? Nothing. So as you can hear, none of us are safe from slips up on the show. Thankfully, like I said, it didn't air on the show, but it's things like that give us a couple laughs off the air.
Well, we're heading to a break now, but come back. We'll be back here with the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz on Spreaker.com and Sports Radio America.
Hey guys, this is Baxter Colburn, host of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. If you enjoy listening to What's the Score, why not go and donate to our Patreon account today? That's patreon.com. Search for What's the Score and donate today. You can get awesome t-shirts, before the show shout-outs, and so much more. Tell your friends about us. Hey, if you donate, we'd be happy to give you a shout-out and even have you come on the show and play a game or two with us as well. Hey everyone, this is Baxter Colburn, host of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. Want to take a moment to let all of you know that if you enjoy listening to What's the Score, you can find us on thesportsquotient.com. Go and check out thesportsquotient.com. Check out and see how you stack up against the rest of the sports world by taking one of their S quizzes. You can also check out the Fantasy Guru section, and for those of you stat geeks out there, they've got plenty of things for you. Plus, check out all the other great content that they have on their podcast section, like this very show right here, What's the Score? Attention all sports radio fans, yes, I'm talking to you. Go and check out the official sponsor of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. That would be Sports Radio America. If you enjoy all kinds of great sports talk, go and check it out today. You can listen to the BG Sports Show, Sunday Gridiron, Pros in the Paint, Major League Diamond, the College Credit Hour, 2 up front. Oh, and What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz? You're not going to want to forget about that. And for those of you that love ABA basketball, listen to their ABA on SRA Game of the Week right here on SportsRadioAmerica.com. And now, back to more What's the Score craziness.
Hello all and welcome back. Thanks for listening to the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thanks for taking some time out of your Monday morning to be here with us. Just a reminder, we will be back April 3rd for our next edition of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. We've got some new and exciting panelists coming on, and we're going to have some very interesting games that you're not going to want to miss. Speaking of games, we like to do some things with our panelists where we ask them some very interesting questions. There was a batch of questions that we asked a couple weeks ago about, you'll hear it. You'll understand a little bit more. Our panelists were Nick Zurich, Chuck Krekel, and Doug Russell. Take a listen to see what madness they had to go through.
Nick, you're up first. Saturday marked a world championship event in which eating sport?
I saw the cover of this, but I didn't really get into the details of it. Is there a chance for a hint?
You'd have to venture to your local bakery to participate in the sport.
Is it a donut eating competition?
Yeah, let's try a little different.
Kringle? Going the wrong way.
It's the wrong way. How old are you?
Old enough.
And what do you celebrate once a year? Exactly.
Birthday cake.
Yes, it was a cake eating
I'll take
contest.
The gift. Thank you.
There, you're welcome. Nicely done. Yes, it was a cake eating contest.
Can I get 12 guesses too?
Yeah, so you guys can get hints, so you guys can do what you'd like. The event was sponsored by Whole Foods, so now we know that the cakes were about $300 each and that they were all organic material, but it was sanctioned by Major League Eating. The 8-minute all-you-can-eat championship featured a field of 12 eaters battling for their share of a $5,000 cash prize. I can barely get through one slice of cake, let alone multiple cakes, so I don't think I would last during those 8 minutes. Have any of you ever eaten a whole cake by yourself?
Sure, yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It was in front of me?
I was hungry.
I'm just not going to answer that question, Baxter.
Josh, you apparently have done so?
I'm not answering the question.
Your father's in the audience, so I need to ask him. He's laughing. So
That probably wouldn't be good.
Okay, we'll move on. Michael, question for you. New York Mets pitcher Jenry Mejia is now banned for life from Major League Baseball due to him violating what policy?
Performance-enhancing drugs.
Yes, that is correct. Nicely done. Apparently he was given 3 opportunities throughout his career to evade that, but he's only 26 years old now. He is out of a job, so it's unfortunate, but hopefully he gets the help that he needs.
Doug, the last question's for you. Soccer player Paul Pogba, known for his talent on the field and elaborate haircuts, now has what shaved into his head?
Can I have a hint?
You got to catch them all, Doug.
Gloves. Goalie gloves?
Oh, no. I don't know how to respond to that.
He must be too old to know the answer.
He must be too old. No. Josh, can you give him a different hint? I thought that would be good.
Everyone seems to know the answer except for me.
I have no idea.
It's something that my generation would have grown up on.
Yes, it's...
That doesn't help!
It was a Pokeball. He's got a Pokeball from Pokemon.
A what? A what?
Have you ever heard of the show Pokemon?
Barely.
Do you know that they have a little red and white?
Nope.
No? Okay. God, who wrote the script this week? Why did we give the oldest guy in the room the question? Yes, he has a Pokeball, so it's apparently,
Who wrote these?
Not me. No, actually, I did. Yes. Now, Pokemon apparently is what we're calling it. No, we're not calling it that. It has a good ring to it, though. Though it's not exactly the thing millions of people are used to seeing. Pogba is used to having crazy designs in his hair, and is also it's a good talk of the Italian papers as well. So that's my fault, Doug. I'm sorry that you were not.
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yes, beautiful. No, Manchester United. No, he plays for Juventus in Italy, but yes, a Pokeball. One of the other questions that we've asked here on What's the Score pertains to our good friend Connor Christensen. For those of you that have listened to the show, you know that he's been a panelist and a contestant at times and certainly knows how to make us laugh. Well, in our first ever edition of What's the Score, we decided to ask Connor about something that he's very near and dear to his heart. And the answer may surprise you about how he reacted. Connor, you're the UFC expert.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think...
Well, I would assume that
Jesus
would have all of the styles completely mastered. So I think that he would take the southpaw stance and just rock him.
Wow. So Jesus is southpaw.
Well, I say he could switch back and forth.
Fair enough.
He's all knowing, so he's going to know what he's doing.
And all seeing. Easily a KO, and within
is he better than Ronda?
Is he? Oh, after,
Jesus versus Ronda. That's
the better question.
I don't know about that one.
I like it.
Maybe she can just box her way out of it.
If she's able to throw him, I'm not sure.
Yeah. If she gets Jesus on the mat, it could be a different fight.
Like Bax said, we love having Connor here. He's a great friend of ours. But every once in a while, we do like to poke fun at him, especially when he makes really stupid mistakes.
I just tell, Connor just comes to drink and then we randomly talk to him. He's like, oh, yeah, that. Floyd Mayweather.
Soccer.
And I said former boxer. Floyd's still an active boxer. Yeah, stupid. I should have done the whole thing with like a lisp. Josh, if you are led by the Holy Spirit to speak in accents when we come to panelist questions, I will not stop you.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, everyone. Well, we've had some exciting times here so far on the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. And we're going to take a minute, regroup, and we're going to bring things back in just a little bit.
You're listening to the best of What's the Score on Spreaker.com and Sports Radio America.
Hey, everyone. Baxter Colburn here for What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. Want to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Sports Radio America. Go and check out sportsradioamerica.com today to find the latest shows about the sports world. You can listen to What's the Score on their network. You can also catch great shows like Pros in the Paint, Sunday Gridiron, the College Credit Hour, 2 Up Front, the BG Sports Show, and oh so much more. Go and check them out today, sportsradioamerica.com. We appreciate their support and yours as well. Hey everyone, this is Baxter Colburn, host of What's the Score, the sports news quiz.
And I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
If you think you are smart enough, or smarter than a 5th grader, and want to play our games on air, you can either come by the studio or you can call us, but there's a few different ways you can get a hold of us.
If you'd like to email us, you can do so at wtsportsquiz@gmail.com.
Or for you social media savants, head over to Facebook, What's the Score, the sports news quiz, or Twitter, WTS Sports Quiz. Now back to the action with myself and Josh Scheibe.
Hello, folks. We're here at the BLC studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with the best of What's the Score, the sports news quiz. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thanks so much for being here with us this Monday morning.
You know, we've only done 14 episodes so far, but there's a lot of changes and a lot of improvements since our very first episode, as you'll see in just a minute.
Broadcasting on the Sports Quotient, Sports Radio America, and Spreaker.com, you're listening to What's the Score, the sports news quiz. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe, and here is your host at the BLC studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Baxter Colburn.
Now, I know that one sounds like I was just, told that Santa Claus isn't real, but as I know now, that wasn't the truth.
That was close to our Christmas episode, so maybe that was what happened. I don't know. Either way, though, Josh has gone through a bit of a transformation since that time. Have you not, sir?
I have indeed, and you'll find that out in just a second. Broadcasting on Sports Radio America and Spreaker.com, this is What's the Score, the sports news quiz, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe, the man who once thought that March Madness was what caused the Romans to stab Caesar. At 2 brackets... Anyway, now here's a man who has a method in his madness, a man I'm sure will never stab me in the back, your host at Crossway Church here in Germantown, Wisconsin, Baxter Colburn!
So as you can see, Game Master Scheibe has certainly figured out his voice for What's the Score, and we are so excited about that, and his continued growth as a Game Master has certainly helped the show grow as well, and we are so excited to have you, Game Master, so thank you for all of your continued time and service to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Baxter.
You're very welcome.
Well, like we said before, things have improved a lot since our first show, but sometimes our technology still doesn't cooperate. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to What's the Score, the sports news quiz. I'm not hearing anything. Am I muted?
No, you should.
No, we hear you.
Okay, because I hear the song from over there, but I'm not hearing it in my headphones.
You hear the song? It's the Calleth of the Wild. No idea, man. What is going on? Did you have some more tracks? Nothing, Connor. Continue as you were.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
That you? We just didn't turn you up. Time now to hear a little bit more about some of our favorite panelist moments. There was a moment a couple shows ago when Ken Williams, Andrew Flegel, and Connor Christensen stopped by to play some games, and you'll attest to this as well, Game Master Scheibe. Having Ken Williams on the panel, probably one of the funniest things that's ever been a part of the show.
Oh, it was great.
All right, panel. Well, before we go to a break, we have some more questions for you guys, so you're not getting off easy this time. Ken, we'll start with you this time, sir. The Olympic Committee announced this week that what sport would be dropped from the 2020 Games?
I get a hint, right?
You do get a hint, yes.
Who gives my hint?
Ken is having a stroke. He's staring at Would you like a hint?
Yeah, I'd love a hint.
Do you want a hint from me or Game Master Scheibe? Think of Hulk Hogan and The Rock and the things that they participate in.
I thought there was... Son of a gun. Because they did that a couple years ago.
They did.
And they put it back in.
They're getting rid of it again.
We'll get it back in there. They're going to get wrestling. They're not going to take wrestling out.
That is correct. Yes, wrestling. It appears the Olympic Committee wants to add more sports that cause less damage to people physically, so the proposed sports to replace wrestling are underwater basket weaving, foursquare, and even hopscotch as well.
Because gymnastics does wonders for the body.
All right, Andrew, you're up next.
All right.
A group of high school students went the extra mile this week at a basketball game by doing what to distract an opponent who was taking a free throw?
Oh, man, I get paid to run our student section, so I definitely took note for this. They gave birth, basically. So
they did. They reenacted childbirth.
Yeah. Oh,
yes. The studio audience isn't clapping because they're like, what the heck? Yes, no, this is 100% true. There's a video all over social media to prove it. Some high schoolers, since it's being cracked down with the chants you can and cannot say during games, they thought they would take it a next step further and just recreate somebody having birth. It worked, though. The opponent did miss the shot that they were taking also. So,
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, who could make that
and
shot?
They were
like
clear with sound
birth?
effects. They did everything. Yeah,
man,
it's like
brutal.
Was it a boy or a girl?
It was a boy. It was a boy. He was a high school boy. I don't know how that worked. And it was a guy that gave birth, too, so I'm not exactly
sure. I feel sorry for that mom.
Something, maybe this might have been in Flint with the water, the issue that they're having right now. It was bad.
Coming out walking.
Connor, a question for you, sir. The new UFC 2 game comes out in March, and this week it was announced that what former boxer will be a playable character?
Oh, I'm going to have to go and guess Floyd Mayweather.
That is, are you sure? No,
that's incorrect.
That's
really?
incorrect. That is incorrect. No. I had a great hint lined up for you, too, but you can't use it now. No, it's Mike Tyson.
Really?
Mike Tyson, yes. So not only in the new UFC 2 game can you recreate the epic Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey fight, but you can now conquer people one ear bite at a time as well.
I should have gotten the hint.
Tyson.
I was so sure.
Yeah.
I was
going to say it's ear-biting fun. That's what I would have said.
You
missed it.
I would have gotten that for sure.
It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Are you going to buy UFC 2? Maybe. Do you have any of the UFC games?
No.
You're a UFC analyst. I feel like you of all people would have it.
I'll probably get the new one. Jeez, yeah. No, just all right. I'll buy it. Goodness, I'm feeling the pressure now.
Time once more for a break, but when we come back, you'll hear a lot more fun from the best of What's the Score, the sports news quiz, here on Spreaker.com and Sports Radio America.
Hey everyone, this is your host of What's the Score, Baxter Colburn.
And I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. On our break, we'd like to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Ticket Liquidator. Ticket Liquidator is one of the world's biggest online ticket marketplaces.
When you call Ticket Liquidator, you can find sold-out tickets to the biggest events on the planet. They offer a huge selection of tickets at 15% lower cost than their competitors. Their fantastic call center has live agents available 7 days a week. Call them today at 855-839-7889.
Ticket Liquidator is a multiple award-winning company, including Deloitte's Fast 500's fastest-growing company in Connecticut. Call today and find tickets to the next big game. Call 855-839-7889 to have access to over 4 million tickets to over 83,000 events worldwide. That number again is 855-839-7889. Hey guys, this is Baxter Colburn, host of What's the Score, the sports news quiz. Did you know that you can listen to us on a lot of different platforms now? Yes, you can. Go and check us out on Spreaker.com. You can download our podcast on Stitcher and on the iTunes App Store. You can also find us on thesportsquotient.com and on sportsradioamerica.com as well. Just about anywhere that you can look for great radio programming, you can find What's the Score, the sports news quiz. Go and check us out today and tell your friends.
Thanks for coming back, everyone. You're listening to the best of What's the Score, the sports news quiz, here from the BLC studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. I was a little concerned you forgot your name there for a second, Game Master Scheibe.
Hey, it got sounded close, didn't it?
It did. Well, we heard earlier in the show that you do have trouble with your name sometimes, but it's okay. It happens to the best of us here on What's the Score. One of the things we want to highlight here on What's the Score is one of our favorite panelists. For those of you that have been listening since the very beginning, you know that we've had probably over 20-some panelists now on the show, and we've got even more new ones joining us in April and May. Remember, April 3rd is our first show back after our break, so get your devices, whatever, ready. Hopefully we'll do it live as well. We'd like to try to do a couple more live shows throughout the remainder of the spring semester, so make sure to check out Spreaker.com for that. So one of the panelists we want to highlight is a man that has now found himself as a running joke here on What's the Score. Josh, who is that man?
That would be one of our favorite panelists, Dan Pfeiffer.
Dan Pfeiffer, and he has come up with a very interesting nickname that people seem to really like as well. Take a listen. It's time now for our last slate of questions for our panelists this week.
All right, Mac, you're up first. A high school wrestler tried a new strategy this week during his match by doing what?
I'll take another hint.
Let's just say that this is something a boy traditionally doesn't wear and you see on a lot of females at a beach.
He dressed up in a bikini.
He did, yes, and not so many words. He wore a wrestling suit that had a bikini on it, and he won. He won, so he distracted his opponent well enough. I've never seen that. I never was a wrestler. Dan, have you seen any of that in your wrestling days?
My wrestling days?
Figured that was a good question to ask the 5'6" guy in the room, you know?
Trying to think of a character that I would have played in WWE, the Great Fifini. I don't know.
No?
No, I was not a wrestler. No.
Fifini, I like that. Can that be your new Twitter handle, please?
No.
All right, and finally, from the Big 920 WOKY in Milwaukee, and he is the public address announcer for Marquette University and the Lakeshore Chinooks, it is Dan Pfeiffer.
So, in the weeks that I'm not on the show, I understand I've become a professional wrestler now.
You have, the Great Fifini.
Fabulous Fifini. I guess I had to come
Fabulous.
up with a finishing move off the top rope today.
Well, Don Wadowitz came last week in a cheerleader uniform, so now you need to come, I feel like, in like a wrestling...
Yeah, like a singlet?
Something. Yeah, a singlet, you know.
With some kind of feather boa?
Maybe a mask.
I like the mask, more like the luchador.
Fu Manchu
Luchador
and then dyed
Pfeiffer.
this double black.
Perfect.
I'm glad this is radio.
Exactly. We are Facebook Live today, too. All right, well, welcome to the show, panel. So as you can see, the Great Fifini is a man that will live on forever in What's the Score history. We love him, and I feel like we need to get him a shirt or a mask or something, Josh.
We really do. I think this is going to be one of those jokes that just goes on for years and years. We're just going to keep building on this mythos until the Great Fifini becomes a What's the Score legend.
He's like an action figure. Can we get a What's the Score Dan Pfeiffer action figure? I don't even know what that would look like. Because I picture like a shirtless Dan Pfeiffer with like khaki pants, a Marquette scarf tied around his head, and maybe like a mask or something. I feel like that could be... Now that I've said that, he's probably going to go out and have that made just because he's that kind of guy.
920 WOKY and huge letters and numbers on his chest.
Exactly, like ripping a dress shirt, holding a microphone or something. Like, let's go! I love it. Yeah, so Dan, it's all out of love, of course. That's why we decided to do that little shout-out to you. So thank you for being on the show, Dan. We really appreciate it. One of the other things that we want to highlight here on What's the Score is one of our favorite games that came out a couple episodes ago as well. During the time when Drake's new song, Hotline Bling, came out, all the craze was about the dancing and the craziness and the gifts, and everybody had a ball with it. So we, here at What's the Score, decided to do a little bit of our own adaptation with that. We tied that into a game that we played with a contestant, Stephen Burnow. We played Hotline Tweet with him. And right after that, we decided to incorporate a couple of questions as well for our panelists, one involving an international friend of mine that decided to give us a little bit of a Hispanic flair on the show as well.
Playing our next game called Hotline Tweet is Stephen Burnow. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you.
All right, Stephen. As you may or may not know, the NBA All-Star Game is just around the corner, and folks are already starting to talk about the celebrity game that's going to be taking place, which features Kevin Hart and Drake as the head coaches. So, in the spirit of the game, we thought we would quiz you on some of Drake and Kevin Hart's hotline tweets. Game Master Scheibe and I will read you 5 tweets, and you must tell us if it was either Drake or Kevin Hart that tweeted it. Get at least 3 out of the 5 questions correct. I know, I'm sorry. And you will win one of our prizes, a What's the Score t-shirt. If you do get stuck, you can ask one panelist for help, sir. Are you ready to play?
I am.
All right. Good luck. Here is your first question.
The Calm After the Storm. Amazing show tonight in Amsterdam. My international tour date sold out damn near.
I'm going to have to go with Drake on that one.
That is incorrect, sir. That was Mr. Kevin Hart on that first one. Here is your second question. Remember, it's either Kevin Hart or Drake. Here we go. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful queens and to the single moms. Where would we be without your love?
I'll definitely go with Drake on that one.
That is correct, sir. Well done. Here is your next question.
I never tweet what I'm doing because it'd just be like, yo, who else is up eating granola and watching Aubrey Plaza interview snippets?
That's Kevin Hart.
That is not correct. I'm sorry. Here is your next question. I just saw a guy who had sneakers tied up so damn tight that it made his socks look like they gave up. What the heck is up with that, man?
I'm going to guess Kevin Hart again.
That is correct. I was maybe a little too realistic about that one. All right, here is your last question, sir.
That moment when you're by yourself and you slip and fall, getting out of the shower on the marble floor, and you immediately understand, life alert.
I'm once again going to get Kevin Hart.
That is correct. Well done, sir. Hey, yo, Game Master Scheibe to Divey. How did Steven do on our quiz?
Steven got 3 right. That means that he's a winner.
Well done, Steven.
Now, I don't feel like a winner considering what you did. Scheibe to Divey.
Scheibe to Divey.
Whatever.
Yes, that's what we're going to go with and until we figure out something better. All right, well, before we go to a break, though, panel, we're going to hang around here for a minute. We got some questions for you guys, all right? Mitch, an editor at the Charlotte Observer, shared a concerned letter to the editor this week pleading that the Panthers players do not do what during the national anthem?
They probably don't want to be dabbing all
That
that
is
much
correct.
during the national anthem.
Well done, sir. Yes.
Did you see the series of Letters of the Editor?
I have not. I didn't see the full thing. I just saw that one specific
people
letter.
Think Cam Newton is a very bad role model for all of their children.
That's what I say. There was a concerned mother that sent a letter a few weeks ago saying that he is, a bit of a thug with him, doing all his charity work and giving the balls to the children after he scores I mean, honestly, he's mothers in the audience, why would you ever want your children looking up to somebody
He's
like
depriving
that?
the NFL of so many footballs.
He really is. I mean, Johnny Manziel is clearly a better role model.
I think if Cam Newton was is a typical thug, then the world would be a much better place, to be honest.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I think they should make do and really give in to the wishes of the fans and go out and sign Michael Vick instead.
I really feel like overall,
Absolutely.
I think that would work just much better for the organization.
All right, Connor, you're up next. Aside from winning his last UFC fight in record fashion, what other accolade could Conor McGregor be presented with in the near future?
Ooh. I don't know. I'm going to go with acting. Is he being given a role in a movie?
Do you want? No, that's incorrect. I'm sorry. The correct answer is that there's actually a petition going around Ireland to put him on the Irish euro coin.
Really?
And the funny part about it is that Parliament is actually considering doing it. that is the crazy part about it, honestly. Yeah.
That's a coin that could kick your butt.
And it's a way better accolade than being Floyd Mayweather's next most hated person.
Exactly. You are literally on the euro coin. All right, Dan, question for you, sir. Major League Baseball came out with a new rule this week regarding that each team has to have what position added to their staff before the new season starts this coming year?
Ooh. Wow. Gonna need a hint on this one if I can get a hint.
No habla inglés.
Oh, that would be a translator.
That is correct, sir. Since the MLB is implementing this new rule, we here at What's the Score thought about doing the same thing because we don't want to offend anybody. So here is a clip of our opening segment from Game Master Scheibe, translated by our official What's the Score Spanish translator, Orlando Godinez.
Reportando desde the Sport Quotient, Sports Radio America en Spreaker.com, estás escuchando a What's the Score, el Sports News Quiz. Soy tu maestro de juegos, Josh Scheibe, y aquí está su anfitrión en el BLC Studios en Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Baxter Colbert.
Muchas gracias, Orlando. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Yeah, so we don't want to offend anybody. I know some people are like, what the heck?
Can we just get the guy who does the goal calls for
we thought about it,
Spanish
and
language?
it was bad, though, because I had to ask my Cuban translator friend to know, but he was in Korea, so it was kind of like a double, but it was a little weird. So, I mean, he's got a very good Telemundo voice, but
maybe for next week, that's something to think about.
I know, we'll have to work it in the budget or something.
I'm going to have to talk to him about dubbing in my voice for, my acting pursuits, because he actually sounds quite a bit like me. That was pretty close. That sounded good.
It might be
Spanish-speaking Josh.
Exactly, yeah. Like the Marshawn Lynch commercial where he doesn't say anything, but he is saying something the whole time, too.
Yeah.
I like it. Very nice.
Thanks for listening to the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. We're heading to another break now, but when we come back, you'll hear a lot more from our fun and games. You're listening on Spreaker.com and Sports Radio America. Hello all, I'm Josh Scheibe, your game master here at What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. Thanks for listening in. I may not know much about sports, but what I do know about are our social media pages. Check us out on Facebook at What's the Score, or Twitter and Instagram at WTS Sports Quiz. Thanks very much for listening.
Hey everyone, this is Baxter Colburn, host of What's the Score, the sports news quiz. Do you enjoy sports trivia just about as much as I do? Well, if you do, go and check out thesportsquotient.com, one of the many places that you can listen to What's the Score, the sports news quiz. Not only do they have a killer podcast section, but they have some of the best sports quizzes on the internet that I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of things, especially in the sports world. Go and check it out today and see just how you stack up against the rest of the sports world. That is thesportsquotient.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn.
Hey, if you think the show is worth at least $1, why don't you go to our Patreon account?
We'd be very grateful if you donate to the show. That's how people like Josh and I stay employed, or pretend to be employed at least. Thank you so much for listening to What's the Score, the sports news quiz. And now, back to more sports trivia action.
Hope my check's in the mail. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is the best of What's the Score, the sports news quiz. I'm your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thanks so much for joining us on a special edition of What's the Score, the sports news quiz. As we mentioned earlier in the show, we've got the week off, but Josh and I still are working hard to give you some exciting moments from the best of What's the Score. And happy Easter to you and your family as well. We hope you had a fantastic Easter weekend with your family and friends. One of the things that we got to do here on What's the Score, just on our last episode, Game Master Scheibe, we got to go on an adventure. Where did we go?
We went to Crossway Church in Germantown for their men's March Madness event.
Yes, indeed. We had an opportunity to do an extended show. We had more contestants, more panelists, and lots of fun. Take a listen.
Playing our next game, and I hope that I'm saying these names right, Paul Coyer and Nate Wolfrath. Welcome to the show, guys.
Paul and Nate, welcome. Both of you guys, you go to college together. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, we do.
And how did you decide that you wanted to be against each other this evening?
I thought we were together.
Oh, you thought you were together? Oh. All right, gentlemen. Well, you're going to be playing the game that we're calling Curry, or Curry. You'll be given 5 clues, and each one will have 3 possible answers. It'll either be Steph Curry, point guard for the Golden State Warriors, lovely person, wonderful, Mr. Buckets, woo, for 3. It's Tim Curry, the popular English actor, or Curry, the well-known Spice, from India, as we all know. Correctly answer each, and you will earn a point as we go along.
Answer 3 out of 5 questions correctly, and you'll win our prize, a What's the Score t-shirt. If you get stuck on a question, you are allowed to ask one panelist for help on only one question, so make sure you choose wisely. Also, make sure you say your name to buzz in once we finished asking the question. Are you guys ready to play?
Yeah.
All right, here's your first clue.
Resides in Walnut Grove, California.
Nathan.
Yes, Nathan.
Steph Curry.
That is correct. Nicely done.
All right, here's your next one. Was at one time a talented boy soprano.
Nathan.
Yes, Nathan.
The English actor.
Yes, that is correct. Tim Curry. Thank you, Simon.
Sorry,
yes.
I had to throw that in there. But my new name, by the way, is Seaman. Or something like that, right?
Sorry, yeah.
Simon.
Yes. Now, on last week's show, and by the way, everyone out in the audience, you should be listening to the show every week via Spreaker.com. We talked about Steph Curry's celebrations.
Like we talked about Tim. I wasn't there.
we did not talk about Tim Curry. We did not view Clue. But we talked about Steph Curry's celebrations. I wonder if maybe sometimes he sings as he runs down the floor.
Why not? If you're making, not 80-foot baskets, but about 40 to 50-foot baskets, I would be singing on my way down the court as well. You can only celebrate, so many ways. You got to eventually sing or do something. All right, here is your next quote, your next question, guys. I've got the wrong games mixed up here. He one time met with President Obama and delivered a speech to dignitaries to help launch the president's malaria initiative strategy for 2015 to 2020.
Paul,
yes.
Steph Curry.
Yes, that is correct. Steph Curry is helping start donations to a mosquito foundation called Nothing But Nets. It's clever. Anyways, it's going to help the United Nations Foundation, and every time he makes a 3-pointer, there is a donation that is sent. So they've already topped about $1 billion for the year because of all his 3-pointers. All right, here is your next question, gentlemen.
May have been instrumental in the creation of Worcestershire sauce.
Paul.
Nathan.
Oh, I heard Paul's name first. Yes, Paul.
Curry. The Spice.
Yes, there we go. I was like, which one? Yes, that is correct.
I agree with Paul, though. You shouldn't have to clarify. It's a spice. Curry is curry.
I know. Well,
Right?
that's the day and age we live in nowadays, though, where it's like, oh, curry. Oh, you mean Steph Curry? I'm in the spice. Oh, wow.
That's true.
That's kind of like second nature now. It's kind of like Simon and Simon or whatever. It's like, which one are you talking about? All right. Well, this is interesting. We were tied. Here's our last question for the tiebreaker, gentlemen. Here we go. He has/had a famous father.
Paul.
Nathan.
I heard Paul's name
Steph.
first. Yes, Steph Curry is correct. Tim Curry's father was a chaplain in the Royal Navy and died when Tim was 12, and Curry, last we checked, doesn't have a father, to our knowledge. Game Master Scheibe, who's the winner of our game?
That'd be Paul with 3 points.
Nicely done, Paul. Congratulations. Let's hear it for Paul. So as you can see, we do have a bit of an obsession with Steph Curry on the show. From those of you that have listened to previous episodes, we do like to mention the man Steph Curry. He's a fantastic player, and we got to do a little bit more about Tim Curry, too. You found something interesting about Tim Curry, too, in your studies, too. You posted some music video or something I saw about him.
He had some albums that he tried to follow up after the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
And he never quite hit it big. He did have a minor hit, and I'm not remembering the name of the song right now, but it was
interesting.
It's a very interesting video because it's not very good. I mean, you watch it and you go, yeah, I can see why his career didn't really work as a rock star.
Because I was interested, too, because you when you were starting to write the game, you're like, yeah, let's use Tim Curry. I was like, okay, the actor, no big deal. And then I saw you post a music video. I was like, this is the same guy?
I was actually surprised to find it myself. I didn't know that about him. He's a great actor. Not a great singer, though, at least not in his rock career.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. Speaking of things that are not that great, that reminds me of the teams like the Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, and Chicago Bears. Back in our first episode, we poked a little bit of fun at those rivals of the Green Bay Packers, and as you might or may not know, I'm a big soccer fan. I've played soccer all my life, do some soccer broadcasts on the outside of What's the Score. There was some things that happened down in Mexico City as well that I felt needed to be addressed because soccer fans, you love them to death, but sometimes they just don't quite get it. Yeah.
Kurt, this week, which team became the first in NFL history to lead for the entire game and still lose?
I believe that was the team that played the Packers, better known as the Detroit Lions.
That is
correct. Correct. There is one team in the NFL that could pull off such a feat. It really could only be the Lions.
Rip Michigan fans.
Or the Bears. Or the Vikings. No bias towards the Packers at all, of course.
None.
However, this game really did showcase that the Lions are a team that will continue to strive for new and extreme ways to disappoint their fans. Now Lion fans have a true taste of what it's like to cheer for the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, wow. Jeez. Well, look at the Wolverine fans. If you're a
Michigan
Detroit
as
Lion
a whole,
fan,
sports fans this year in
rough.
Michigan.
Because they did the same thing. They led the entire game.
Yep. It's just a Michigan thing. I love it.
All right, Grant, the next question is for you. The Boston Celtics and Sacramento Kings played an international game this week as the NBA looks to continue building their global audience. Where did the game take place?
China. I don't know.
That is incorrect. Correct answer we were looking for is Mexico City. The NBA is doing their best to stay on pace with the NFL by playing international games to help grow their audience. However, playing in Mexico City really confused some stray soccer fans who showed up to the game. The refs had to keep stopping the game due to every single time a basket was scored, the fans would go wild. They'd throw things and light them on fire and throw them onto the field. Only joking, of course, but it did appear that basketball has a long way to go before it grows to an international audience like the NFL. Well, that's our show today. The best of What's the Score has been a production of the Sports Quotient and Sports Radio America. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, our next upcoming show is April 3rd, and it will be live on Spreaker.com, so make sure to go and check it out. And you can also catch the show on SportsRadioAmerica.com on Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time on SportsRadioAmerica.com and on the TuneIn app as well.
Well, we hope you had a great Easter weekend. I've been your game master, Josh Scheibe.
And I've been your host, Baxter Colburn. Thank you so much for tuning in to the best of What's the Score, the Sports News Quiz. We will see you again on April 3rd, live at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker.com. For all of us here at What's the Score, we'll see you then.